Okay, hey there. I've got this bird tattooed on my neck here. I don't know if you could see it or not, but when I was younger, I wanted to be an outlaw, right? But it actually turned me into a nice person. And that didn't just change my life, it changed the way I do business. This video is about how getting good tattoos made me a better human being. And great life, everybody. My name is Gabe Ripley. I am a computer geek for tattooers, and this is a relatively personal story. Again, it's how I became a person worth knowing, or at least worth tolerating. I used to be an outsider, struggled to connect with people. I used to think that tattoos and beauty is only skin deep, but I learned the power of tattoos to transform people, right? So here I was in early 90s, complete antisocial computer geek, happy programming in basements, not my mother's basement, but that's a different story here. But basically avoiding human contact at all costs, right? But I did get attracted to tattoos in the early 90s, 92. It was outlaw in nature. My first two tattoos were done by shitty bikers, and my third one started to be done by an awesome biker. I guess I felt like it was counterculture. It was a bit rebellious. Maybe it was a rite of passage. I really wanted to grow up quick, and maybe that's what it was. But I got a dove on my ankle, so it wasn't that rebellious. So what I didn't realize, though, is that tattoos amplify and change who you are. They're going to put you into situations where you need to react with people, and ultimately, depending on the imagery and whatnot, you can have good interactions. So when I was in Paris, a couple years later, I got a bird on my neck, bright, beautiful bird, impossible to hide. And then suddenly, my antisocial nature was kind of rough, right? Like people started approaching me everywhere, grocery stores, coffee shops, everyone knows rock and roll shows, bars, everywhere. Oh, wow, that's gorgeous. Tell me about the bird. How'd you get it? How much did it cost? How much did it hurt? Of course. What does it mean and all that? And what kind of makes me cringe, and I guess it makes sense because that's who I was, but I was like, being mean to people who were being nice to me, right? I was showing disinterest when they were showing interest. And it was something that I chose, right? I put a tattoo there and I was being an asshole. They're just asking out of genuine curiosity, and I would grunt or give an attitude, walk away, treating human kindness like an inconvenience. Why are you talking to me? Well, look, I was literally wearing the conversation starter, right? And being too much of a jerk to have the conversations, real ones, right? So a few months into this neck tattoo, I realized that my life was going to change. I had a choice to make. I'm either going to continue to be an antisocial jerk dozens of times a day to like everyone who's showing interest, and something I put on my body, or I'm going to figure out actually how to be, different. I'm going to learn how to be nice, actually maybe connect to people. And it was hard for me. I had spent years perfecting avoiding people, my attitude, right, and dismissing social interactions and thinking that I was above people or whatever. But I realized, I'm putting these tattoos on my body. I'm making myself walking art. People are going to notice, they're going to talk to me, so I better learn to be nice and put the best face forward. I'm either going to be a jerk a dozen times a day, or I'm going to be nice a dozen times a day. And then, I started practicing being nice, and it sounds ridiculous being nice, but I didn't learn it growing up. And so I was learning kindness. Someone would ask about a tattoo. Instead of being dismissive, I'd actually talk to them, tell them about it a little bit. And then I remembered a piece of advice from Joey Cap for the tattooers. He was like, be nice to everybody. You never know who's going to be your next client, right? And so I realized I could send people, to the tattooers, to the tattoo shop, and be nice. And, they started sharing their stories with me about why they did or didn't want to get tattooed, or they'd talk about their fears and whatnot. And anyways, the main point is, all of a sudden I started having like real human connections. And most people suck, right? But a lot of people are cool. And if they're going to talk to you because of your tattoos, then chances are they're very cool. Or they have the opportunity to be. In any event, I realized I was missing out on all these human connections, and flash forward a couple more years, and I'm not going to say I'm Mr. Charisma, but like I could actually talk to people. Tattooing has literally taught me how to become a better person. And so, anyways, I guess I just wanted to put it out there. I do a lot of selling on this thing with all the computery shit, but I just wanted to let people know that the reason why I do this is because I know the power that tattoos have to change people for the better or for the worse, right? Make sure that what you're putting on you anchors you into positive reinforcements, not negative ones, like getting your exes tattooed on you. That's negative. You're dragging. Don't tattoo negative, toxic on you. Tattoo positive on you. And I'm not like, skulls are cool, man. Be reminded of death every day, right? But like, be positive about it, right? Don't let it drag you down. Anyways, cheers. Gabe Ripley, tattoonnow.com. I don't know. Subscribe or whatever if you want to see more of these. Cheers.